Hey guys, welcome to Beklaedt's YouTube channel. If you are new to this channel, then please hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on new video guides, tips and tricks and much more. My name is Iben and throughout 2 videos I'll show you how to sew my blazer inspired dress vest, Lyng. This sleeveless dress is super elegant and filled with professional details. The dress is inspired by men's vintage suits with wide peak lapels. There are welt pockets on the front, which is double-breasted. There's a long vent in the back, and then the dress is fully lined, which makes it extra comfortable to wear. To be able to complete this project, you should have prior experience with sewing as well as lots of patience, but I promise you it will be well worth it. You can buy the pattern for this dress on my website Beklaedt.com. In this first of 2 videos, I'll show you how to prepare all the pattern pieces, finish the front piece, as well as how to make the welt pockets. Finally, I'll show you an easy method to make a vent with lining. Are you ready for a challenge? For the dress, I'm using this crisp wool I bought at Stuff Shop in Denmark. The wool is firmly woven, but if you want to use fabric with elastane, you can. In order to achieve a really luxe result, I recommend using fabric with at least 50% wool. The wool will stay beautiful for longer than, for example, polyester. It doesn't start to smell bad and it works well to regulate body temperature. We also need lining. I'm using a satin weave lining in acetate in a bubblegum pink color as a contrast. We also need fusible interfacing. I'm using a thin woven interfacing which works well with wool. This type of interfacing should be attached using steam. To stabilize the prominent color on this dress, I'll be using a thin interfacing with woven threads. This kind of interfacing has elasticity along the width, but it's firm along the grain line. You can cut your own strips of interfacing like me, which are 2 to 3 cm wide, or buy a ready-made stay tape. Lastly, we need 8 big buttons for the double-breasted closure on the front, as well as matching thread. Finally, we need a small button for the invisible closure inside the dress. Start by cutting the pattern pieces according to the cutting guide. I fold the fabric along the grain line and thereby cut every pattern piece twice. But if you're working with fabric that has a very visible pattern, you might want to consider only cutting 1 layer at a time. Don't cut into the front dart on the front piece, we'll get to that later. I cut the lining pieces the same way as I did the outer fabric. You will find that there are many different attitudes towards using interfacing for tailored garments. For this specific design, I think it works well to interface every single pattern piece, which is why I cut a second layer of interfacing for each piece. That is, every piece in outer fabric. We will, of course, not be interfacing the lining pieces. Iron on the interfacing using lots of steam. Remember that the fusible side needs to face the wrong side of the fabric. I set my iron to 2 dots, which corresponds to wool and which is also the lowest setting for steam. You need to add steam to the pieces for a couple of seconds at a time. It's really important to do this properly. If you do a poor job of adding the fusible interfacing, it will show on the right side as a non-smooth kind of bubbly surface, which can be hard to correct afterwards. If in doubt, it's always a good idea to practice on a piece of scrap fabric first. After adding interfacing to all pattern pieces, except the lining, we need to add the stay tape to all armholes and shoulder seams. It can be necessary to snip into the tape in order to get it around the curved seams. We also need to add stay tape along the lapel on the front pieces and front lining pieces, as well as to the fold line on the lapel, which is marked on the pattern. Finally, I also add stay tape to the neckline on the back pieces. When making tailored garments, it's quite important to be very precise. When all the pieces have been interfaced, you should control each individual pattern piece and correct any line that has become slightly wonky since it was cut. My experience tells me that the more time you spend on this, the nicer the final result will be. Okay, with all these preparations done, we are ready to proceed to some actual sewing. Start by finding the front pieces. Place the piece flat on the table with the wrong side facing up. Place the paper pattern on top and pin it down. Carefully cut into the paper pattern along the front dart to be able to fold the seam allowance back. After this, you should mark the edge of the dart with tailor's chalk. Finally, trim away the excess fabric by cutting into the dart by the pocket. When reaching the actual front dart, fold the paper pattern back on top so you trim with seam allowance included. Now we need to temporarily close the pocket opening. This should be done by hand. Use sewing thread in a contrast color to make it easier to see. I make stitches that change between going backwards and crossing over to the other side. there is no need to fasten at the end. The dart itself is stitched together on the sewing machine. Fold the fabric so the right side faces each other. Then place pins to make sure the blue line is symmetrical on either side. Close the dart. Please remember that there are also darts by the neckline on the front pieces. Mark the placement of the dart with pins and stitch it. Press open the bust dart with your iron. Cut open the dart as far up as you can get. Then carefully cut across the dart at the top and bottom to be able to press everything flat. I usually press from both the wrong and right side. The dart at the neckline should be pressed towards the center front. To do this, you need to cut into the seam allowance at the top so the fabric relaxes. Finish off the front piece by attaching the little hem piece along the hemline. The hem piece is placed on top of the front piece, right sides together, and pushed all the way towards the side piece in the opposite direction of center front. Place pins. Remember that the final 5 cm towards the center front should be left undone in order to attach the lining here later on. Press the seam allowance towards the hem piece. From the right side, top stitch the seam allowance in place a couple of millimeters from the edge. Stop top stitching approximately 2 cm before reaching the former stitching. Find the front piece and the side piece. Place the side piece on top of the front piece, right sides together. Please remember that the short side faces the front while the longer side faces the back. Stitch the pieces together. And split the seam open. The last thing we need to do on the front piece is the pocket. Remove the temporary stitches carefully. Cut a piece of interfacing about 20 cm wide and 5 cm long to be ironed on top of the pocket opening from the wrong side. From the right side, mark the placement and length of the pocket with tailor's chalk. The pocket on my dress is 14 cm long. Check the length of your pocket in the written guide. I find the center of the pocket and draw a line which is 7 centimeters in each direction. Then I clearly mark where the pocket ends. Find one pocket fold and cut it in half lengthwise. Place the two pieces on top of the pocket so the newly cut edges are aligned with the chalk line. Place pins that precisely mark the length of the pocket. We are going to make rows of parallel stitching that are exactly the same length and thereby each other's mirror image. Start stitching where you place the pin and stitch with a distance of 5 mm to the pocket opening. Stop at the other end where you also place the pin. Do the same on the other side. Carefully cut open the pocket. Stop about 1 centimeter before reaching the end. From this point, you need to cut twice at an angle towards each side. Cut as close to the stitches as possible. Bring the front piece to the ironing board. While the back side is facing up, press the pocket folds away from the pocket opening. The two small triangular bits also need to be pressed away from the pocket. When you are happy, we need to shape the pocket folds. Fold each piece back on top of the pocket hole to shape a fold which is 5 mm wide from each side. It can be a little tricky to shape the folds, so be patient. Remember to press the triangular bits away from the pocket under the folds. Now we need to finish the pocket flaps. Find each pocket flap in both outer fabric and lining. Place them on top of each other, right sides together. Stitch the pieces together by the side edges and bottom edge. Trim the corners and fold the pieces around so the right side faces up. Press the pocket flaps with your iron while trying to curve the lining slightly inwards to make it invisible from the right side. Before attaching the pocket flap to the front piece, we need to finish the folds. The triangular bit needs to be sewn to the fold from the back side. Afterwards, make an invisible stitch along the bottom fold by stitching right in the ditch between fold and front piece. Find the pocket flap. As you can see, I have drawn a line 2 cm from the top edge. Press the pocket flap under the top fold so the drawn line is aligned with the opening of the pocket. Place pins. Stitch the pocket flap in place by making the same kind of stitching in the ditch. Lastly, we need to attach the pocket bag. Place the front piece flat on the table so the right side is facing up. Find the pocket bags. Place the bottom edge of the pocket bag along the bottom edge of the pocket, right sides together. Then attach the top edge of the pocket bag to the top edge of the pocket, also right sides together. Stitch the pieces together. Place pins along the side seam of the pocket bag and stitch the side seams. Now we are ready to work on the back pieces. Start by closing the shoulder darts on the back pieces. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of this, but it's very straightforward. Just close the shoulder darts like you normally would. Then press the dart towards the center back. And now for the back vent. Place the two back pieces on top of each other, right sides together, and place pins along the center back. You need to place a pin in the exact point where the vent starts, which I'm showing you here. Do the exact same for the back lining pieces. Place the back lining on top of each other, right sides together, and place pins along the center back as well as the point marking the beginning of the vent. Stitch the pieces together and stop right at the point you marked with a pin on both sets of back pieces. Remember to also stitch directly down for about 2 cm by the notch on the back lining pieces to shape the back pleat. Press open the seams with your iron and continue pressing open the vents as well. The width of the vent is 5 cm. Please make sure you accurately press the vent by 5 cm all over. Remember to also press the hemline on the back pieces 5 cm towards the wrong side on both sides. There are a lot of different methods as to how to finish a tailored vent with lining. The method I use is the one I find the easiest to understand and use. If you have another method that works for you, please use it. Place the back pieces in the outer fabric on a table so the wrong side is facing up. Place the lining piece on top, wrong sides together, and match the pieces by the start of the vent. Place a pin. On the right side, draw the outline of the vent with tailor's chalk. Afterwards, measure 2 cm inwards from this line and make a new line along the side seam and slanted top of the vent. Then make a third line in between the two that lays with a distance of 1 cm to either. Cut into the vent along the innermost line to completely remove this part. Then trim away the excess fabric on the back. Snip into the corner of the vent. Fold the lining on the right side so it lays against the vent of the outer fabric right sides together. Place pins. The left side is already ready. Just add pins along the side seam of the vent. Stitch both sides. Start at the top but finish about 10 cm before you reach the bottom of the lining. Bring the pieces to the ironing board. Snip into the corner on the left side in order to turn the vent around so it lays on top of the right side. Press the left side. Fold the top edge of the left side under the slanted opening on the right vent. From the wrong side, you'll be able to pull all layers into place. Place a pin and press again. Stitch the top part of the vent. Place the pieces flat on the table so the right side is facing up. We will start on the left side. Take hold of the lining and outer fabric and turn the layers around so the right side face each other. Place pins. Stitch the layers together, but stop about 5 centimeters before reaching the side seam. On the right side, you need to first draw a line which lays 5 centimeters from the hemline and the pressed edge of the vent respectively, and which crosses through the point where the two pressed edges meet. Fold the piece around so the right side is facing each other and place pins. We are going to stitch directly down the blue line, but you should leave the last 1 centimeter before the outer edge, which I mark here with a pin. I start stitching at the point where I placed a pin and stitch all along the blue line. On the left side, we need to close the hole between the outer fabric and lining. Find the hemline on the outer fabric. You now need to press the hemline the other way, that is, so the right side is facing each other. Push the remaining lining into the gap at the hemline and place pins. Stitch the pieces together. Trim away the corner on the right side about 1 centimeter from the blue line. Fold the lining so the right side of the lining faces the right side of the hemline and place pins. Stitch the pieces together, starting about 5 centimeters from the side seam and finish right at the point where the seam from before starts. Last step is to close the hole. Stitch the lining to the vent, but stop at the point where the seam from before starts. The remaining lining is made into a fold, which is stitched together afterwards. Lastly, we need to press all sides, corners and edges to get a neat finish. Look at how beautiful it looks. Alright guys, this was the first of 2 videos that shows you how to sew my dress Lyng. In the next video I'll show you how to make a peak lapel collar, how to gather the lining with the outer fabric, and how to make a double-breasted closure on the front piece. I hope you'll keep watching.